Hi guys, welcome back to Tech Station 365 and I'm your host Diptesh. Now I know I've been really inconsistent on this channel. This is only my second video in like 3 months, but I promise I'll try to be more consistent on this channel as possible. So let's get back to the video. So I've been using an Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1 as my daily driver since August 2018. And trust me, it's a great device for its price, and especially when it came out. It packed all the essential features at a really low price of 8,500 to 10,500 rupees. And I've been really satisfied with its performance over the years. But finally it's time and I decided to retire it for my new phone, which is a Samsung Galaxy S20 FE 5G. Now some of you may know that the S20 FE 5G was released somewhere around the fourth quarter of 2020 internationally. So at this point the phone is already 1.5 years old. So a lot of you may ask whether it's worth buying this phone in 2022 when competition is so fierce. So in this video I'm going to show you all the capabilities and feature set of this phone, and then at the end of the video you decide for yourself if it's worth it to you. That said, if you're new to the channel then please consider subscribing and also turning on notification. Alright, without any further ado, let's start the video. Okay, so let's start with the price. The S20 FE 5G often sells for around 37,000 rupees on Amazon, and sometimes even in the Samsung shop app it goes down as low as 35,000, and I've also seen it go as low as 30,000 rupees. So in this sub 35,000 rupees price category, the S20 FE 5G comes with a really well-rounded feature set. And trust me, the overall feature set and experience you get from this Samsung flagship is definitely worth the money. So stick around till the end of the video to know what it's capable of. Now I'm the type of person who prefers functionality over form. For me, every device must serve a purpose and it should not be just for show off or killing time. I bought this phone for a set of features that is not provided by other phones in this price range. So without any further ado, let's start with the build and design. The design is simply utilitarian. It has a metal frame, the back is actually matte plastic, which means it is more durable and resistant to cracks in case you drop it. The plastic also makes the phone quite light for its size. The phone has IP68 water and dust resistance rating, which means you can take this phone to beaches and near water bodies to click photos and shoot videos without having to worry about water damage. Other than this phone and the Galaxy A52s, I don't think there are any other phone which provides IP68 certification in this price range. Unfortunately, the S20 FE doesn't have a headphone jack, which seems to be gone forever from flagships. However, it still has a hybrid SIM slot that allows for expandable storage, another feature that seems to get rarer by the day. The Type-C port in this phone is actually a 3.2 Gen 1 port, which means high bandwidth for data transfer as well as full display out up to 3440 by 1440 resolution at 60 Hz. This is such an underrated feature which no reviewer talks about. More on this later. Next up is the display. A very good 6.5-inch 1080p Super AMOLED display running at 120Hz with a 240Hz touch sampling. First of all, the display does go pretty edge to edge to minimize bezels. Although I like the S21 FE better in this case, which has even thinner bezels. However, the S20 FE is not bad. The slightly narrower aspect ratio and pretty thin bezels make the phone quite usable with one hand. Regarding the display itself, it has a typical brightness of about 680 nits and a peak brightness of 800 nits, which we can achieve in HDR content or while using under direct sunlight with auto brightness turned on. Some may think the 800 nits brightness is less compared to today's phones with over 1000 nits of peak brightness, but trust me, this display is still plenty visible under direct sunlight and is excellent for HDR content consumption on YouTube because this display can process the HDR signal very accurately. The dark parts of the video are extremely inky black, but there is no black crush, and the highlights are very bright and don't lose any detail. Know that the S20 FE for some reason doesn't support HDR in Netflix. But regardless, the OLED display makes any irregular SDR content pop with rich colors and contrast. The next best thing about this phone and any other modern Samsung flagship is their skin on top of Android, which is called One UI. I have been an absolute fan of One UI ever since I experienced it on my friend's Galaxy S9 Plus. One UI, in my opinion, is the most feature-packed Android skin in the current market, but at the same time feels minimal and very fluid. Animations have plenty of frames, which is why operation feels very smooth even when you set the phone to 60 Hz. Now I can talk on and on about all the features and capabilities of One UI, but that will take a really long time. So in this video, let me show you some standout features in One UI 4.0 in this device that will be definitely useful to a lot of you guys. So let's start. Number 1, Samsung DeX on Windows. Get this, you can basically use your entire phone with all the apps and everything inside your Windows laptop wired or wirelessly through DeX on Windows. Not just that, you can copy files from Windows to your phone and also vice versa. You can also copy and paste text across both your phone and PC. This is such an amazing and underrated feature. Once you use this, you cannot go back. Oh, and by the way, you can basically plug your phone into any monitor or TV and get a full desktop experience through DeX. It can basically replace your laptop for light tasks and entertainment. I'm going to make a dedicated video on DeX, so stay tuned. Next is auto call recording. Yes, call someone or receive a call and the phone will automatically record your entire conversation without alerting the other person. Extremely important feature in this day and age. Third is single-handed usability. The entire One UI is designed to aid single-handed usability. The UI is designed to keep most frequently used options at the bottom. You can pull down menus to bring them closer to your finger. It also has an easily accessible one-handed mode. This makes navigating around a big phone much more manageable. Fourth is insane level of customization. One UI is hands down the most customizable Android skin in existence. You can customize almost each and every aspect of the UI. You can change your dark mode settings, customize your display colors, change your edge panel settings, customize how you interact with your notifications, customize how you want to be notified when a notification comes, change your color palette based on the wallpaper, etc. etc. If that's not enough, you can install Good Lock and change your entire UI elements like task switcher the way you want. Oh, and did I mention there's also a full theme store to further customize your launcher and your always on display. And finally, advanced multitasking. Use 2 apps at the same time and open more apps in resizable pop-up windows for the ultimate multitasking experience. There are some awesome first-party apps like the built-in My Files app, Samsung Pay, Gallery, Samsung Health, which is one of the best health tracking apps on Android, Samsung Internet, which I actually prefer over Google Chrome on my phone due to many reasons like performance, single-handed usability focused UI, real dark mode, full screen viewing and special KNOX protected incognito mode and Samsung Pass. I will talk about KNOX a little later. There are other advanced features like Bixby routines that lets you automate your everyday tasks on your phone. Now, as I said, there are just too many features for me to cover in this video, but you get the point on why One UI is such a big deal. Tied to the software is the hardware, and the S20 FE 5G packs in the Snapdragon 865 SoC, which in my opinion is still Qualcomm's best SoC in terms of performance and performance per watt or efficiency. I definitely prefer it over the Snapdragon 888 as the 865 still has enough performance for quick and smooth day-to-day operation and yet not be as taxing on the battery as the Snapdragon 888. The Exynos 2100 in the S21 FE is a gigantic improvement over the old Exynos 990 and does well in performance per watt department compared to the Snapdragon 888, but the Mali GPU is not well supported for emulation gaming, which is the type of gaming that I do on a phone. I don't play Android games on my phone, so I can't comment on that. But based on my experience, I don't recommend Samsung phones for hardcore gaming because Samsung tunes their phone for cooler operation, which means more throttling. Regardless, the Snapdragon 865 coupled with One UI and 120Hz refresh rate means buttery smooth day-to-day operation. Alright, now let's talk cameras. I'm just gonna say this phone has a no-nonsense camera setup featuring a 12 megapixel main sensor with huge 1.8 micron pixel size and OIS, a 12 megapixel ultra-wide sensor with 123 degree field of view and a very useful 8 megapixel 3x optical zoom which also has OIS. This makes the phone's camera setup so versatile. The front-facing camera is 32 megapixel one, which is an okay sensor. The main sensor is great for both images and especially videos. Images just pop with colors and contrast, great dynamic range. The images just look aesthetically pleasing. They are not the most natural, but they are very pleasing to look at. Low-light images also look great even without night mode in semi-low-light conditions. The main sensor is also great for shooting videos. It can shoot up to 4K 60fps with EIS, but I tend to turn EIS off to get the best image quality possible. And the videos look great, packed with details. As a content creator, I love the Pro Video mode and I mostly shoot in this mode, as I find Pro Video mode allows the most amount of details as there is not much noise reduction in this mode. There's also an option to shoot in HDR10+, which records in 10-bit up to 4K 60fps, and this lets you get a flat high dynamic range footage that you can edit in your favorite NLE. If you are the type of person who prefers to have as much quality and control as possible in your videos, you will love the video output from the S20 FE 5G. Moving to the ultra-wide sensor, it's pretty good for images during the day. It's actually much better than other brands' 8 megapixel sensors. It also has very similar colors to the main sensor. In low light, I recommend shooting with the night mode turned on to capture as much details as possible. The ultra-wide sensor can also shoot at 4K 30 fps and the output is fine during the day, but I don't recommend it in low light. Lastly, the 3x telephoto lens is very useful for general day-to-day photography. When you want to get up close to things, you get good details, and compression from the 70mm lens gives your images a unique look. Video also looks good up to 4K 30 fps and is far better than digitally cropped videos from other phones. Finally, the S20 FE also supports portrait mode from both main rear camera and the front camera, and the portrait effect at a reasonable blur level looks quite realistic, especially at a glance. I personally feel the edge detection is far better than iPhone's cinematic mode. Once again, I can talk on and on about cameras, didn't even talk about Pro mode and raw images, but overall the cameras on this phone is definitely one of the highlights. Okay, one more very important feature of the S20 FE is Samsung KNOX. Samsung KNOX is a multi-layer security platform built onto Android on Samsung devices, including software and hardware isolation for sensitive data. On the S20 FE, Samsung KNOX exists in the form of a real hardware chip that provides real-time kernel protection. If you want to know more about KNOX and why it is such a big deal, watch Mr. Techpedia's awesome video on this topic. So these were some of the points on why you should definitely consider buying this phone. But I should also mention some points on which you should be careful about before you consider buying this phone, okay? Number 1. Android updates. As I said, this phone is already 1.5 years old and Samsung promised 3 years of Android updates and 4 years of security updates. Now this phone initially came with Android 10, it was updated to Android 11 and now currently it's running Android 12 out of the box. So it means that Samsung will provide one more Android update, which is Android 13, and security updates up to 2024. So keep this in mind. If you buy this phone in 2022, you are going to see one more new Android update. Now, in my opinion, I don't think you would miss much if you don't receive the latest and greatest Android version, because the One UI 4.0 build on top of Android 12 in this phone is already extremely feature rich. I don't think you will be missing any features without getting the latest version of Android. But yeah, do keep this in mind. Number 2 is battery life. So if you're coming from a phone like a Zenfone Max Pro M1, which has a very efficient Snapdragon 636 entry-level chip with a huge 5000 mAh battery, and you're getting like 10-11 hours of screen on time, you cannot expect the same with this phone. This phone packs a pretty high-end processor, a fast 120Hz display, and that's the reason you cannot get such long hours of screen on time. But in my use case, I have received around 6.5 to 9 hours of screen on time with this phone. Based on my usage, whether it is light usage or heavy usage, you can expect around 6.5 to 9 hours of screen on time. In fact, with battery saver mode, you can expect more than 9 hours of screen on time, which is good. And I found that battery saver mode doesn't degrade performance that much. Performance is still quite good and the phone still feels quite smooth. Now the third point is gaming performance. Now gaming performance is not bad in this phone, it's pretty good. But you should know these S series phones from Samsung and other Samsung phones are not really tuned for long-term sustained performances. These phones are tuned more for short bursts of performance, which keep your phone quite fast and snappy in day-to-day operations and also cool, but they are not really made for sustained performance. If you're a hardcore gamer and looking to purchase a phone for hardcore gaming, I would recommend you to go for OnePlus 9, 9R, 9RT, or you can go for the Mi 11X, or you can go for the Mi 11T Pro. Those types of phone, or the iQOO 9, iQOO 7. These types of phones are made for long-term sustained performance. Okay, so yeah, if you are a hardcore mobile gamer, then I would ask you to look for other phones. So that's all. That's all about the S20 FE 5G. I feel for 37,000 rupees, this phone packs all the necessary features and more. It's not the most performance oriented phone, but it's very usable, it's very functional, and that's why I love the S20 FE 5G and the price point. I don't think Samsung will ever make a phone like this, in my opinion. I don't see it coming. So yeah, that's all about the S20 FE 5G, guys. Do let me know your thoughts on this phone and if you are considering this phone in 2022. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Do like, share, and definitely subscribe to this channel. More videos are coming up, guys, I promise. Yeah, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.